Hola a todos amigos, una vez más estamos aquí en su programa Literatura Actual con su anfitrión Darío Aguilar Peregrina y hoy tendremos una gran invitada. Hi Stacy again, welcome
Hola,
back to Literatura Today.
hola, ¿cómo estás, mi amigo?
Muy bien Stacy, thank you so much for being here today, and I think for the audience we have a surprise guest today and it's a very big friend of us. His name is OG Maciel, a great author. I think his neighbor from Stacy in
Yes.
North Carolina, I think. Le daremos la bienvenida a este gran escritor, Oli Meishel, aquí en nuestro programa de literatura actual y pues damos la bienvenida. Hi, Ogi.
Hello,
Hey,
Augie.
Darío. Hey, Stacy. Long time no see. How's it
Yeah,
going?
good. Hope you are.
I am well, thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you so much, Ogi, for being today here on Literature Today. Estamos muy agradecidos por que vengas a nuestro programa. Y hoy vamos a comentar muchas cosas con este gran escritor. Today we're going to talk about many things about this great author's career. And he's going to give us a lot of tips on his writing, I think. Stacy, would you like to ask first the first question? ¿Te gustaría hacer la primera pregunta?
Sure would. Okay, Augie, so what comes first for you, the plot or the characters of your book?
That's a good question. So it's kind of interesting to me that I'm going to give you an answer, but I need to sort of like give a little background. The way my mind works sometimes boggles me. It always starts with a song, really. That's what it starts. Sometimes I love listening to music. When I was a much younger person, I used to listen to music all the time. And what happens is sometimes I'm listening to a song and then something clicks in my head and I actually can see a scene taking place. So it starts with the song, which then I guess translates into a plot. And then from then I start seeing the characters forming around that scene in my mind. And that's usually how the stories come about for me, really. It's I'm listening to a song. So a little spoiler, something that I'm working on right now. It all started out when I was listening to a song by Coldplay called Yellow. That song led to a scene in my head, and then that one thing led to another, and I was able to picture several scenes in my mind. And from that point onward, then I developed the characters. So I guess it's a long way to say that, yeah, it starts with the plot, but it really starts with the song, a music, or something like that. That's what gets me started.
It's a pretty cool song, Yellow. I like it. I like it a lot.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to read it.
I agree completely. Amigos y amigas, Oji nos acaba de, bueno, Stacy nos acaba de hacer la pregunta, ¿cuál es el proceso de Oji Maciel para hacer estas historias? Y primero que nada, pues Oji nos acaba de comentar que tiene una nueva historia pronto y se inspiró mucho en la canción de Coldplay, Yellow, si mal no me equivoco, y es una gran canción sin duda para inspirarse para crear estas cosas. Oji a su vez nos mencionará más acerca de su trabajo en este programa y sin duda pues disfrutaremos de su presencia. Absolutely agree with Yellow with Coldplay, Oji. It's a great song. Now I'm going to ask you the next question. Stacy already asked you your process. Now I want to know, can you tell us the authors that inspired you or the movies, in your case, that influenced your work, all your work, todo tu trabajo?
All right, so how many days do we have to talk about all the authors and all the movies and all the songs that influenced me? That's a tough one, very, very tough one. So I have to start by saying, so for those who don't know me, I was born in Brazil, so I'm a Brazilian American author. I've been in the United States for 32 years, but I was born in Brazil. So ever since I've known myself as a human being, I've been reading. So a couple of Brazilian authors that really, I guess, shaped my way of being. It starts with a Brazilian author. His name is Monteiro Lobato, and he's known for writing a fantastic series of books for children. And even growing up, even as a young teenager, I remember that there would be some shows on the TV about the characters that he developed. I remember that one day I said, I want to be just like him. So when I was a kid, the first thing that I thought that I was going to be was a detective. For some reason, Sherlock Holmes was the thing for me, and I wanted to be a detective. But then reading Montero Lobato, that really sort of like gave me that first inkling that one day I wanted to be an author. So he was the first for sure, followed by another Brazilian author, Maria José Dupré. She also wrote, I guess, children and young adult books. Um, and those two authors really, I think, were the first that really got my attention. After that, once I became more an advanced reader, I guess, I really got into a lot of different books. But since we don't have a whole week to talk about it, I would just say that right now, Ray Bradbury, American author, definitely played a huge role in how the kind of author that I want to be. The same thing goes, I guess, for a more contemporary author, Frederick Backman. I think is Swedish. I'm pretty sure he's from Sweden. And I cannot forget John Steinbeck. So these three authors, they're always in the back of my mind as to the kind of feeling that I want to convey when I'm writing. So these are all aspirations. I definitely feel like I have my own style, but if I could write like a mixture of the last three authors, then I think that I would definitely reach that goal where when you read, if anyone were to read one of my books, they'll walk away feeling like I feel when I read them.
Absolutely. Oye, great to see your inspirations, your background. Es interesante escuchar estas historias de nuestro amigo Oye Maciel, que traduciendo amigos, la pregunta que le hice fue, ¿qué escritores marcaron su carrera? ¿Qué obras marcaron en su caso? Y nos comenta él que tiene un origen brasileño, ha estado viviendo en Estados Unidos desde hace mucho tiempo, y para esto tuvo grandes escritores de fondo, como en estos de momento tiene a Ray Bradbury de Estados Unidos, sin duda. Oye, again, can you tell me the author from Brazil that you really love, please?
Yes, of course. Monteiro Lobato.
Monteiro Lobato,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Monteiro Lobato es otra inspiración sin duda de Oye, y sin duda pues eso le ayudó mucho para su trabajo. Para lo cual, amigos, o sea, es increíble ver cómo esta unión entre cosas distintas de la cultura pues nos lleva a realizarse, ¿no? Entonces, al final de cuentas, es lo importante. Y aquí también nos dice a María José Dupre y, por supuesto, a Frederick Backman. Esos son algunos escritores, amigos, se los recomendamos muchísimo para que los sigan. And now, the next question, please, Stacy.
Yes, so Augie's been on my podcast before, so I'm just dying to ask this question because I want our followers here on Literature Today to hear it. Share with listeners what your inspiration was for the big score.
So the last two books that I wrote, they were heavily inspired on, I guess, my childhood. Growing up in Brazil, and even my early years in the U.S., when I moved to the U.S., I went to New Jersey. I want to say that it feels to me like my childhood was very rich in the sense of the characters that I met, the people, the friends that I had, and some of the adventures / trouble that I got myself into. So one of them was definitely harvesting emblems, right? Car emblems. So this is something that I definitely done when I was a much, much younger person. And actually, at one point, Stacy, I had about 500 car emblems.
Yeah, I think you told me that on the podcast. I was like, wow. And then I wanted to know, like, what was the most fascinating emblem that you had managed to acquire?
Oh, I can tell you that one. Yeah, so there was this car. I don't know. It was a Ford, and I can't remember what the model is called in the U.S., but it was a Ford, and the emblem was a shield. It looked like a knight's shield, and it was glossy, and it was it was metal. It was beautiful, beautiful. But then, so the big score is definitely heavily influenced on those days where I spent harvesting car emblems in Brazil with friends. But what I really wanted to do is I have three daughters, and I wanted to be able to write a book that could eventually introduce them and then maybe a new generation of people to car emblems. But I wanted to write the story from a point of view of a female character. I really wanted the protagonist to be a female character that had to overcome obstacles, that had to overcome anxiety, had to really, grow up on their own. And I remember when I was plotting this, I knew that the main character had to be a young girl. So out of my three daughters, I took inspiration on my 16-year-old. She was a very strong young woman, and I said she's going to be the model for these characters. So it started with the song, and then from the song it was the plot. But that was really like the inspiration was I wanted to take a story and create. I wanted to write a strong female protagonist that I could actually one day my daughters would read the book, and then maybe learn a little bit about what I did when I was a teenager, a rebellious teenager. So
But it's a great book for sure, and one that I encourage all of our Literature Today listeners to check out. It's called The Big Score.
Sin duda, without doubt, OG, this inspiration that you are talking about, it's really interesting. Putting this great example for your daughters and also for all the girls around the world with this great story about your passion of emblems. So it's really nice. Amigos y amigas, Oye nos acaba de mencionar esto sobre la inspiración para su libro The Big Score, que se lo recomendamos muchísimo, en el cual nos menciona que es por su pasión a los emblemas que vio en Brasil. Y por supuesto también es una historia de tributo para sus hijas, especialmente para su hija de 16 años, sobre todo sobre esta pasión que tiene por los emblemas. Entonces, The Big Score busca hacer eso, en pocas palabras, demostrar esta pasión que tiene Oji por su mensaje y tener una gran protagonista femenina, ¿por qué no? Amigos y amigas, creo que vamos a ir a una pausa comercial. No, todavía no vamos a una pausa comercial. Sin duda, amigos, a final de cuentas, eso es lo que nos importa sobre estas historias, que nos lleven a otros mundos, ¿no? At the end of the days, Oji, the passion of your work is really reflected on this great book, The Big Score, that we recommend to our audience. And now, Oji, the next question I want to ask you is, what you already told us the process of your books, you already told us the protagonist, but Oji, could you tell us what is the future for your work? ¿Cuál es el futuro para tu trabajo? What is the future of your work that you want to have?
well, I still want to. I feel that I still need to. There's so much that I want to learn in my craft. So I'm definitely pushing myself a little bit out of my comfort zone, and I want to explore. I want to write different kind of stories that would allow me to really hone in my craft. So I'll give you an example. The Big Score was the first book that I wrote where I wanted to write. I think it was the first time that I had an antagonist in my books. It was the very first time, and I never done that before. And I took upon myself to write the antagonist in such a way that I wanted to maybe just like drop a little hint of compassion or empathy, I guess, for the antagonist, because the antagonist, the way I want to write was to hopefully get people to feel a little bit of sympathy, or empathize a little bit with the antagonist, not like the antagonist, but at least understand how that person turned out to be the way that they were. So right now I am working on something new that is definitely pushing me out of my comfort zone even a little bit more. Not only in the themes that are involved, but also I have 4 protagonists, and every chapter is written from their point of view. So that forces me to change how I think, how I write for every chapter. So to answer your question, I guess I'm looking for ways to grow as a writer. And the way that I'm doing that is coming up with these experiments. So it's definitely, I'm not a masochist by any stretch of the imagination, but it does give me an opportunity to practice a little bit more. So I wanted to continue writing more books. Eventually, I can see maybe, I guess, a story about my family moving to the US, because I do drop a lot of little things here and there. So even ICQ, the first book that I wrote, and then the big score, I do borrow a lot of things from that experience. So literally, just coming out of the airplane and coming to the US and not speaking a single word of English, that the whole experience, like first year of high school, uh, just the cultural shock, all of those things. These are some things that I feel that are in the future. So maybe a book about what that was like. So maybe like the books that I'm writing right now, these are all stepping stones that might lead me to write that book one day. We'll see.
Thank you so much, Oji. Friends, we're going to a commercial break. We're going to return to talk about more about Oji's work. Una pausa comercial, amigos. Y estamos de regreso aquí en Literatura Actual. We're back on Literature Today with Stacy Hawks and myself, Darío Aguilar. And we're talking about with Oji Maciel about his process of his books and all his storybooks. Regresamos a este programa donde estábamos mencionando acerca del futuro de los trabajos de Oji. Y nos estaba mencionando, amigos y amigas, que sin duda él tiene muchas cosas planeadas con esto de The Big Score, que es un gran libro que le echó muchísima pasión. Y luego viene otro que él planea hacer sobre cómo Él llegó con su familia a Estados Unidos sin saber una pizca del idioma en inglés. Entonces es una historia interesante que él quiere hacer de cómo una familia inmigrante de Brasil llegó a este país y cómo se desarrolló en esas épocas antiguas y sobre todo, pues tenemos aquí por eso a este gran escritor. Stacy, your turn, please. Tu turno,
Yeah.
Stacy.
Yes, so Augie's already told us about his next work that he's sort of working on with the theme Yellow from Coldplay. What more can you share with followers about that story, Augie? When can they expect it to be out and available, or?
Yeah, so I've been slowly chipping away at that book because, like I said earlier, it's not trivial. It hasn't been trivial to bounce between the different characters, and I tried to really build the whole profile behind each protagonist. Try to add their own flavor, right? So it's been a little bit tricky. Now, the other thing that is sort of put a little bit of a damper on my excitement about this is that I broke my arm last week, so I wasn't even sure if I was going to be here today or not.
Oh
So I broke
no.
my arm. I have my left arm. I'm left-handed, so I broke my left arm at work, unfortunately. And So anyhow, it's been hard to write for those last 2 weeks or so, but I'm slowly chipping away. I want to have it done by the end of the year. That's my goal, to have it done by the end of the year. Um, and like I said, it's got four protagonists. Right now, I'm trying to write. Each chapter is written from their point of view. There are some new themes that I've never really written anything like that before or about these themes before. So that requires a lot of research. I do like to do research. And you know, Stacy, you more than anyone here, you know how important it is to do that research. So hopefully something by the end of the year. I do have two other ideas. I have written some words here and there. Maybe a sequel to ICQ. It could be in the works. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
Or I'll be cheering for you and hope that you make that end of your goal and wishing you a speedy recovery. Very sorry to hear about your arm and your injury, but exciting things ahead. Looking forward to reading more from you, Augie.
Thank you.
Absolutely, Oye. We're praying for you, for your speedy recovery. Amigos y amigas, ahorita Stacy acaba de preguntarle a Oji qué nos puede contar un poco más de su trabajo futuro, ¿no? Y para este caso, Oji nos menciona acerca de que, bueno, está trabajando en este libro, posiblemente espera que esté a finales de este año, de estas cuatro protagonistas, diferentes cuatro puntos de vista, como nos mencionó, pero está trabajando todavía en el proceso. Ahorita también nos menciona que se disculpa, tuvo ahorita se rompió el brazo, entonces esperamos que se recupere pronto nuestro gran amigo Oji, y pues eso le está dificultando un poco escribir, pero sin duda dará una muy buena obra a final de cuentas. At the end of the day, your work, Oji, I have seen a little bit of your work, it's very interesting, has a lot of passion, and of course, I want to see a sequel of ICQ. So everybody likes a sequel. So I am a really sequel lover. Not everybody, but I'm a really sequel lover, ¿no? Estoy muy orgulloso por eso. Now, Oji, amigos, quiero preguntarte, Oji, la siguiente pregunta. Ya nos hablaste acerca de todo esto del proceso, nos mencionaste de los libros. You already talk about your process, your characters, your future of author. We wish you a speedy recovery. But Oji, could you tell us more about these Brazilian roots that you have in your work? ¿Nos puedes mencionar más acerca de estas raíces brasileñas en tu trabajo?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting for me because when I was actually talking to a friend of mine about this, when I came to the United States, I was 16, which means that I had already absorbed a lot of the culture, right? I still speak to it, but I was right at the cusp of that very important, I guess, pivotal moment where you go from teenager to an adult. So I feel like my roots are a mix. I cannot say that I'm only Brazilian, and I cannot say that I'm only American. I am a mix of the two, and I do think that my work shows a little bit of those two things. If anything, I do feel that Brazilians, like Latin people in general, we are very passionate, and I think that we are also very much into family. Family is really important to us, right? So, whereas my experience in the U.S. is more like, you know, you grow up and then you got to leave the nest, right? So it's like, you're done with high school, you got to go, right? We tend to stick around family and cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents. These are all very important people. So if anything, that may transpire in the characters that I write, connection between family members and how important those relationships are, or even relationships with friendships. You know, being loyal, sticking to people. Sticking up for people, standing up for them for what is right. So I wouldn't say that that's Brazilian roots only, but they are definitely my roots, and that's probably a little bit of both, the Brazilian, but also the American, the New Jersey, and I guess roots that I have.
Thank you so much, Oji. Amigos y amigas, nos acaba de comentar Oji que no solamente su trabajo podría decirse que es completamente brasileño, sino a final de cuentas su trabajo combina las dos cosas, sus raíces brasileñas y su crecer en Estados Unidos, sus experiencias en Nueva Jersey. Entonces, él no podría escoger una de las dos porque son muy importantes para su trabajo. They are important for his work. So, talking about these things that Oji tells us, it's really interesting how the two cultures mix between each other and we create new narratives at the end of the day. Another topic you talk about is the family. Otro tema que habló Oji es cómo los latinos nos importa mucho la familia. Y por supuesto, la familia es algo muy importante para crear estas historias porque pues a final de cuentas, we Latinos are really united in these things of family and many other things. I think we are finishing today this program. Oji, thank you so much again for being here on Literature today. We are very pleased for having you. No, 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 friends. Amigos y amigas, todavía queda más en nuestro programa. Vamos a tener mucho más. We're going to have more and more Oji and Stacy, so sorry. I'm very excited for this interview, so I am already messing up. Amigos y amigas, entonces continuamos con este programa que sin duda, pues hoy nos está mencionando esta gran historia. Please, Stacy, another question.
Yeah, so Augie, what advice would you give to someone who is writing their first book?
First advice that comes to mind is something that I keep reminding myself, which is just write. And it's really silly, right? It's so simple, just write. But it's really, I think, very powerful. I feel that a lot of people, well, at least myself for sure, we feel like every word that we write has to be captivating. Every sentence has to be perfectly written. And reality is that it's just the first draft. So you got to keep on writing, and you have to also have to learn to appreciate the power of compounding. So you write every day, no matter how many words you write every day. It's better than not writing anything. And then at the end of the week, you look back and maybe you wrote a whole page, which is pretty cool. And you keep at it. And then maybe 2 weeks later, you have a couple of pages and you just keep on going. Try not to edit too much, because that's the thing that really, I think, causes a lot of blockage on the way. So, like myself, when I'm writing, I do like to do research. But if I don't know the thing that I'm writing immediately, then I just put a bracket and I say, look this up later. And then I come back later when I'm editing, right? So it's just keep on going and just keep on going. And then the other, I guess, piece of advice, which was really powerful, at least for me, was find your voice. So You heard me say how John Steinbeck, Frederick Bachman, Ray Bradbury, these are all very influential. How I aspire to be able to write characters and stories the way that they do, to be able to make people feel emotions the way that they make me feel. But there's only one Augie, and that's good. Thank God there's only one Augie. But I'm not here to be another John Steinbeck, and nor do I want to be a John Steinbeck. I want to be Augie Maciel. So find your voice and write in your voice. Don't try to write in such a way that you're trying to impress other people. At the end of the day, you have a story to tell, and the most important thing is that just to tell your story. And then the words and how you actually stitch them all together, that will come with the practice. That will come with editing. So just keep chipping away, write every day if you can, and then look back a month later, you're gonna have something, and then you just keep at it until you get something that you're proud of.
Absolutely. We got to write that ugly first draft, as I was told one time. And, I think NaNoWriMo is coming up, so November is going to be a great time to do that. Don't know if you participate in that or not, but that was kind of fun. I did it one time.
Oh yeah, ICQ and the Big Score were both started doing a NaNoWriMo. So yes, absolutely. And even the book that I'm writing right now, it started in November. So I started writing in November, and I'm still chipping away. It's been a bit of a struggle. Like I said, I'm definitely pushing myself very hard to write something completely different. But this coming up November, I'll be full speed on NaNoWriMo for sure.
Sí, I agree completely, Stacy, OG. Amigos y amigas, pues dando una pequeña traducción a esto de que nos comentó OG, sin duda, ¿cuál es su consejo? Hace la pregunta Stacy a OG. ¿Cuál es tu consejo para la gente que está escribiendo? Y sobre todo, pues OG nos da este mensaje de que hay que seguir escribiendo. La parte de editar a veces es un poco complicada. Él normalmente deja esos espacios para después hacer la investigación completamente y mejorar la historia. Y al final de cuentas, pues lo que dice él, o sea, somos escritores, lo que hacemos es, para la redundancia, escribir, continuar estas historias y darle sobre todo esta pasión, insisto, ese es el mensaje, darle una pasión, darle un mensaje a las historias, give a voice, give a message on these stories, dar el punto de vista de cómo estamos en esto de escritores, ¿no? Y a final de cuentas también, oye, pues me mencionó ahorita en el chat que el trabajo de que les mencioné de los 4 protagonistas tiene como título provisional Murder Hornet. Es el trabajo, is the provisional title of his work, Murder Hornet. So it's going to be great, ¿no? A final de cuentas, pues es lo que queremos escuchar. Amigos y amigas, creo ahora sí que vamos a una pequeña pausa comercial y regresamos con más aquí en Literatura Actual. We're coming back on a commercial break.
Curso intensivo de podcast en G-Dance Academy, 100% online, 2 módulos, certificación digital, aula virtual, producción, edición, marketing, monetización, grabación. Curso intensivo de podcast en G-Dance Academy, plataforma educativa online.
Y estamos de regreso, amigos y amigas. We're back here on Literatura Today. Y pues no, estábamos continuando con esta pequeña plática con Oji Maciel, ya para darle concluida a esta gran plática que hemos tenido este día. Y sobre todo, pues, agradecerle a Oji por todo su trabajo. Y por eso, and that's why, Oji, thank you again for being on the program. Thank you, Stacy. And that's why the last question for this program of today is, Oji, could you tell us where we can find your books, and also if there are other events that you are planning to participate so people can reach to you and buy your work? ¿Cuándo podremos encontrar tus trabajos y sobre todo pues saber más de el gran Oji Maciel?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity. I love seeing both of you every time there's an opportunity for me to hang out. It's always a highlight for me. So thank you so much for the opportunity. It's always good to see you both. My books can be found on Amazon for sure. So you can definitely find them there. And if you are listening to this this program later on and you want to read my books in Brazilian Portuguese, you can definitely find them on amazon.com.br. And then the Brazilian publisher, it's called Editora Inverso. And you can actually get the printed book in Portuguese from them. In terms of events, so the Big Score is actually finalist for it's a International Latino Book Awards. So it turns out that the Big Score is the finalist, which means that I won, which is pretty freaking cool. And I'm probably, if I'm clear to travel with my broken arm, I will be in California for the event on October 21st. It's going to let me see. The event is going to be at the LA College, I think, or something like that. I need to look up, but it's October 21st, and I'll be there for that the ceremony. And ICQ, the Brazilian translation, is also up for another prize. This time is a Brazilian prize for translation as well, which is kind of odd, right? Because I wrote the book in English. The book's won awards for the translation in Portuguese. To me, that's kind of mind-boggling. But anyhow, I'm not sure that I'm going to be in Brazil for that event, if anything were to happen. But chances are I will be in California for that event.
Awesome, Oji, congratulations again. This is real passion story about how your book got published, and also you're winning awards. No, we're really excited for you, Oji. Amigos y amigas, le acabo de hacer esta pregunta a Oji Maciel sobre, pues, dónde pueden encontrar su trabajo. Primero que nada, pueden encontrar todas sus historias en Amazon, y si quieren encontrarlo con una traducción al portugués, pueden encontrarlo en Amazon Brasil. Ahí mismo podrán encontrar todos sus libros como The Big Score y ICQ, que, por cierto, su libro The Big Score ahorita va a recibir un premio Latino Book, International Book Latino, ¿no? International Book Latino Award va a recibir nuestro gran amigo Oji Maciel, y si Dios lo permite, pues estará el 21 de octubre allá en Los Ángeles, California, para que lo puedan acompañar y que reciba este gran premio, este gran escritor. Please, if Oji, please, if you want to reach out with Oji, please go to this event on LA, so it's going to be really nice. Y también, por supuesto, pues pedirle a nuestra audiencia brasileña, si nos escuchan también, pedirle a nuestra audiencia brasileira que por favor vayan a apoyar a nuestro amigo Oji Maciel, que está teniendo también éxito en su país de origen, ¿no? Amigos y amigas, pues con esto terminamos la transmisión de este día. Tuvimos esta gran charla con nuestro amigo Oji Maciel. Today we had this great conversation with our friend Oji Maciel, that I think we are going to invite him one more time in our events that we're coming here on Indai and also G-Dance TV. Again, you can follow Oji Maciel on his social media. Please, can you tell us your social media, Oji? Tus redes sociales?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter as @Augie Maciel, and I'm pretty sure that it's Augie Maciel on Instagram as well. And then if you go to aughiemaciel.com, that's my website, and you get to read a little bit about me, and then you get to see information about the books that I've written.
Thank you, Oye. Ah, por supuesto, Oye nos acaba de compartir también que, pues adelante, si alguien de alguna editorial se interesa, y esto para ustedes, amigas editoriales, se interesa traducir su libro en español, pues con mayor razón, para que tenga más audiencia nuestro amigo Oye Maciel, y por supuesto los libros de Stacy Hawks, como Dividing Rich Books, que también, por supuesto, merecen una gran traducción al español, que yo soy muy fan del tercer libro, ya lo he dicho. I'm a really big fan of Stacy work too, so please translate her work too in Spanish, so many more people can know her work and his work of OG. Stacy, your social media, please, tus redes sociales.
Yeah, so you can find me at The Writing Wall on X, formerly known as Twitter, at The Writing Wall, or on Instagram at Writings on the Wall 85. And you can visit us on Dividing Ridge Books on Instagram at Dividing Ridge Author, or on Twitter or X at DRidge Books.
Thank you so much, Stacy. Amigos y amigas, ya saben, sigan por favor a Stacy en su gran podcast de The Writing Wall Podcast, que tiene otra gran temporada con grandes invitados, new guests on her podcast. Please listen to that great podcast. She's nearly on the 7th season, Stacy, or 6th season?
7th season, and our season finale is happening October the 14th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Perfecto. Amigos y amigas, el 14 de octubre es el capítulo final de esta 6ª temporada de Stacy en The Writing World Podcast. Por favor, escúchenlo en Spotify para que escuchen más historias. Y por mi parte, yo, Darío Aguilar Peregrina, y por supuesto, pues estamos también en X. We're in X. It was Twitter, but it's a little bit confusing layers X. Well, es un poco confuso decir X, estamos en X todos, pero bueno, sigan a nuestros amigos en X. Y bueno, a mí, a su servidor, Darío Aguilar Peregrina, me pueden encontrar como Darío Aguilar Peregrina, valga la redundancia, en Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, X, Instagram. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as Hurricane Darío, o el Huracán Darío. Entonces, podemos encontrar más de estas historias. Amigos y amigas, una vez más, agradecido por esta oportunidad con nuestra amiga Graciela Echagüe. Y nos vemos la próxima. See you next time. Thank you again, Oji. See you, Stacy.
Adios. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Augie.
Thank you, Stacy. Good to see you all. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I never made it, but I know